Good afternoon, everybody. It's the dog with you. Weber this week on a Monday. It is the 26th of November, 2018. Glad to be alongside of you. Well, I can't imagine there's been a more hot button through the town of Seneca Falls relative to what are we talking about at the coffee shop? Well, it seems like we're talking about the Huntington Building, as I used to call it. I still call it the Koch Building. A little bit of background. We'll talk about the background. Then we're going to talk to my good friend Emil Bove, who believes it should stand up, and I kind of believe the other way, that it should be torn down and allow Circle K to come in there and make a phenomenal convenience store / gas station. Welcome to Weber This Week. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's a rainy, miserable Monday. Hope you all had a good weekend, and I don't know what the forecast is calling for. They're talking about rain and maybe a possibility of some snow. As I said earlier in the opener, we are talking to my friend Emil Bove today. We have differing views about the Huntington Building, which, of course, is a legendary building. A little bit of background before Emil gets a chance to comment. It was constructed, the Huntington Building, in, believe it or not, 1868. That's quite a ways back. It's the home of the National Yeast Company. It also had several car dealerships, as you all know, and also it was the home of the Seneca Falls Folding Box Company. Now, by the way, just a further background, the Heritage Preservation Commission, it's against that commission arguing the point of keeping it standing up versus Peter Koch, who has attorneys who are going to have oral arguments, I believe, arguments this coming Friday at the Seneca County Court. Should it stand or should it be torn down? And I might add, for full disclosure, Emil's wife, who I like and I've seen her several times at restaurants, Lori Lynn, is the chair as a member of that commission. By the way, Peter Koch owned that property since 1986. He sold his dealership to James Provenzano in 2015. And, of course, Provenzano moved his car dealership out near Del Lago on 414. So with that opening, a little bit of background, it's always good to have my friend Emil in. Emil, thanks for spending some time with us, and I know you want to talk about a building that is dear to your heart, so well, you have it.
Thank you very much, Harold. It's always a pleasure to be with you, and I appreciate the opportunity to give some information out to the public. So before I say anything, I want to say that I won't be expressing any opinions. You said I was in favor of not demolishing the building. That decision is going to be made by the Town Heritage Preservation Commission. Mm-hmm. There's actually a fairly detailed chapter in the town code, and that process is ongoing, and not clear when that will be done. So you did say one of the issues with regard to this is this really a historic building? And I think you alluded to the fact it was constructed in 1870. It was actually built by the Seymour family. And the Seymours were part of the Seneca Falls crowd that was abolitionist, women's rights. 3 or 4 of the Seymours attended the Women's Rights Convention. And in many ways, this building, although it's brick as opposed to limestone, is different, is similar to the Women's National Hall, you know, the background of the people and everything. And, 10 years ago, people would have been saying, let's tear down that Women's Hall of Fame, that Seneca Net building, because it was in terrible condition. Actually, this building is probably in a little bit better condition than the Hall of Fame at the time, but there's always issues with the roof and so on. But next to me is a picture of the building, and this is the poster generated by Landmark Society. They have a 5 to Revive program, so the building is, they're promoting some sort of reuse of the building, and they're finding people that might be interested, and there actually are people that are interested, someone from Rochester, someone from California. Chris Iverson is very interested in the building. And let me say this, there are many examples of buildings like this that have been reused, and I love this building. It's in Geneva. It was part of the Geneva Forge, where they made cutlery for many years. Now it's an absolutely gorgeous building. Furniture's made in the bottom floor, and the top 2 floors are wide open. I've been to events there. It's just absolutely beautiful. So this is the kind of use that could be used for the, well, I'm going to call it the National Yeast Building. And what's being proposed in place is something that looks like this: 14 gas pumps, a big convenience store right in the middle of the town's historic district. So, people really have to ask themselves, is this consistent with efforts in Seneca Falls over the last 35 years to provide the fabric and explanation and let people know why the convention happened here in 1848 when the national park was created? The federal government wanted some assurances that the fabric of the town and the village would be preserved. I don't know if I'm sure everybody's familiar with this. This is the compilation of surveys of all the buildings in the historic district that was done, and then so we have a historic district that is in account with the application for demolition. We also have a number of other heritage districts. There's one, the Urban Cultural Park, and we have the canal as part of a historic district. And so why are all these things here? They're here because one of the most significant events in our nation's history took place right in Seneca Falls. Half the population was subjugated, literally in slavery, and very similar to slavery, couldn't vote, and so on. And this is where the women first said, hey, we want the right to vote. And in my opinion, Seneca Falls deserves the same kind of recognition that Philadelphia does. So it is a historic building. Landmark Society has identified it. We know there are other buildings. I can tell you another building that was reused successfully is the old Trinity Church. Ed Zukowski has done a magnificent job with that. So it's really not a question about whether it can be done. It's a question of will it happen?
Well, very good comments, and I think myself and Emil have been friends for many, many years, and we're going to be friends after the show. Certainly my view on it is different than his, and I've had a lot of comments relative to why it should be torn down. And certainly, as I thought about it leading up to the show, I've been fortunate enough to, as Emil knows, to live in Seneca Falls pretty much all my life, and the location, the location is phenomenal for a building of business or historical. It's on the corner of Veterans Bridge, Falls Street, and Rumsey Street. It's fantastic, and should Peter Koch have done some work in there while he had it, maybe refurbished it somewhat? Certainly James Provenzano wasn't going to do it. He bought the business from Koch. He was eventually going to be moving up to 414, which he now is located. I guess where I'm coming from is, and I think I told Emil, my good friend, before we went on the air, my problem with not tearing it down is it's seen from every direction you can possibly see, coming into Seneca Falls, going out of Seneca Falls, coming across the bridge. You can't miss it. And I'm of the opinion that it's such terrible shape, quote unquote. And I know that Emil's going to have some comments, or eventually they'll have comments about some engineers or something to look at that building. But from what I understand, it's going to take a lot of money to bring it up to the reuse factor. And I remember the first person that ever went in that building after Provenzano left, he used two words: sad shape. And I think it's even gotten worse since he was there. As you, Jimmy, do you have those pictures I sent? I took some pictures yesterday, and of course, just a glimpse. I mean, I know the building. I mean, you can. I'll leave it up to you to have your admiration of looking at these. That tree on the bottom of that first picture is literally in the building, and I don't know. I just was taking a few shots. Look at the glass up on top of this facility. I worry about a big wind sometime and snapping that out and coming on the street. And then of course you look at this side of it. I think I took 5 or 6. Just to give you a glimpse, if you've never look at the windows up on top of this. I mean, it's just tragic. And I mean, I realize, it was there a long time. It's been there a long time. People aren't allowed to go in there now until a court decides what's going to happen. And I certainly think that, is a decision that everybody wants to hear. But from my point of view, and I'm all for Emil's wife. I like her. I've met her a few times. I respect anybody who sits on a meeting. I respect anybody who sits in the board in this town or village or hamlet. I respect anybody who spends time to do good. My concern, however, is I don't know what benefits unless Emil and the commission has got somebody coming down from the skies with a big check with no numbers on it, just write it, to refurbish that building from a historical nature. I'd say fine, but I haven't heard that yet. I don't know what's happening, and I'm sure we may hear more about it. If monies are coming, and maybe Emil can touch on that a little bit, I don't know. It just, to me, yeah, Circle K is in the picture. They made a nice offer to Koch. If it gets torn down, and as you know, the Circle K, the small one that's before the building leaving Seneca Falls, is the one I go every morning. Eddie, my buddy, is the manager there. The plans were if they tear it down, they're going to tear that small one down, and they're going to probably tear down the one across the road as well and make it a spectacular, like Emil said, it's going to be a big, large gas station / convenience store. It's going to be 3 stories. I don't have to tell you anymore. I don't know. It's going to go back and forth about the arguments. Should it stay? Should it come down? And I'll turn it back to my good friend Emil. Emil, I just wonder, and maybe you can't comment, I know you talked about, and you showed some great slides and great samples up on your easel. Is there money in the pipeline, or can you comment about money? Is there any money coming? Is there, if you were to keep it there, and if the court ruled in favor of the Historic Commission, is there money coming in versus something that at least get it to a decent shape? Is that possible? Can you answer that, or is there any question?
Yeah, I'd be happy to answer that. The one comment I want to make, in the pictures you took, showed many broken windows. Right. So this is a picture that was taken within the last couple months. Within the last few weeks, a number of windows have been broken in this this building. We don't know whether they've been broken from inside or outside, so I think it's questionable, but that seems fairly apparent. Something's happening. Okay. You got a great point about the location. Right. It is prominent. It's an important location. It's really the gateway, I think, to the real historic heart of the town, and so I think that argument cuts both ways. As far as the economics of it, this kind of reuse, certainly one of the ways that it makes financial sense is if the person who's redeveloping it is able to take care of the federal and state tax credits. So the study that was done by Daniel Long projected dollars, but he never took into effect the tax credits. And there are, of course, Chris Iverson has expressed interest in the building. He's looking for a partner. We know Chris Iverson is actually doing the work at the Hall of Fame. Right. He built the hotel in Geneva. He did a fabulous job in Penn Yan with the buckwheat building, if you've been over there. So he's very experienced. There's one developer from Rochester whose name I can't mention, but he contacted the Landmark Society. He's talked to Peter Koch. As I understand it, Peter Koch told him, let's see how this plays out with Circle K. Right. And then there's another man who owns property in Seneca Falls. His name I can disclose. His name is Kamasu Phillips. He owns the Opera Block on State Street, and he's from California. He has plenty of money, and he's also interested in it. So there are people that are interested, and a lot of this depends on what you would do with the building. There's a thing called food halls. So you could have some use in the bottom floor, could be a brewer pub, could be something like that. Then you could have a large open hall, or you could turn this into lofts. These are all possibilities. And you got to remember the difference between this and the Hall of Fame is this is private money. They don't have to come begging to the federal government for grants and so on. And the people that I've mentioned are experienced developers. So there are alternatives, and people are interested. And, the thing is going to have to play out with the Heritage Preservation Commission. They're supposed to make the decision. We should let them make the decision. It's unfortunate the way they've been treated by the town, in my opinion. The town, in my opinion, has interfered with the process. They may have made a decision months ago if there hadn't been this process of interference. So they're going to make a decision, and it is a fairly sophisticated set of factors that have to be decided. And again, we go back to this: why are buildings? Why is the heritage? Why is the history being protected? It's because of the unique and unequaled, except for Philadelphia, importance of what happened here.
Very good comments. Emil Bove's my guest today. We're talking opposite sides. I think the building should come down. Let Circle K build the structure. Emil disagrees and wants it to stay there. A lot of people agree with him. A lot of people agree on my side of it. This is Weber This Week. Let's take a commercial break. We'll come back with a couple more comments. Resort and Casino has something for everyone. 2,000 slot machines and 99 gaming tables. The Vine, featuring top national music and comedy acts. The dining options. The Great Portico by Fabio Viviani. The Farmers Market Buffet, the Social Cafe and Bar. And the 14,000 square foot European style spa. Del Lago offers massages, body treatments, and facials, plus a full-service salon. Visit DelLagoResort.com for more information.
Cayuga Lake National Bank, offices in Union Springs and Aurora, a fine sponsor of this show for over 30 years. DA Liquor on Britt Street in Seneca Falls. Amy Padula and her team will find the right spirit for you every time. When you stop in, tell Amy the dog sent you. The Omen Theater on William Street in Lyons. See what's playing this week at omentheater.com. Located off New York State Thruway Exit 41, the McGee Diner has earned their reputation as a popular family restaurant, serving country fresh home-cooked meals daily. Stop in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and check out their menu at mcgeediner.com. The Child Advocacy Center of the Finger Lakes is a child-friendly location where allegations of physical or sexual abuse are responded to by a multidisciplinary team of professionals. The team works together to conduct a thorough investigation and to provide necessary support services to children and their non-offending caregivers with a goal of minimizing further trauma to a child. Seneca Metals is an award-winning company that has earned a reputation of going above and beyond to protect the environment and support their community. As an EPA inspector once said, their operation is head and shoulders above the rest. And the Newark Pilots of the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League, a minor league team with a major league ballpark. Season ticket packages available at NewarkPilots.com. And the Wilson Press in Seneca Falls. My good pal Rich Rickey and his team can handle all of your printing and mailing needs. Visit them online at wpress.com.
Welcome back, everybody. It's the Dog with you, along with Emil Bove. We're talking about the Huntington Building. Obviously, it comes down to should it be stationary and remain where it is, with some gets it a reuse factor and get some people to throw some money into that to do that. And there's another element of people that say nope, it should come down. Circle K has made supposedly a sweet offer. They would turn that into a huge, obviously 3-floor convenience store slash, as Emil pointed out in one of his pictures earlier, it would be obviously a gas station as well. So where does this all end? I don't know. Emil's not sure what's going to happen. And by the way, if you're in the area coming up Friday, I think it's 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, there's a hearing at the Seneca County Courthouse. Arguments will be made, continuing in the legal system, as Emil certainly well knows. That takes place this coming Friday, that being the 30th. So if you're in the area, you want to check it out and listen to the arguments, and be so. I guess the only other comments I would make before I get back to Emil, we're almost at 3:20 already. I talked about the location, and I was thinking about this too, and I don't criticize Peter, but I wish he had kept the building in a little better shape than it is, or that it's gotten to be. I remember going in there and getting, believe it or not, this is a funny story, I remember going in there way back when he was still the owner, and they had windshield wash, believe it or not. It was, I can't even think the brand is, but it cleaned the windows to a T. Can't remember what it was, but it was special stuff. And I used to go in there, and I would get a can of it. And literally, he'd never charged me for it, but I always picked one up. That's why I went back, because it was free. No, but I remember walking through the floors, Emil, and I remember squeak, squeak, and I remember, it didn't seem safe to walk from one area down to the other area. Now that we're coming to this point, I guess another comment for tearing it down from people who have talked to me because they knew I was going to be on the opposite side of Emil and the commission. They referred to Newark, New York. Of course, Newark, New York, as you all know, is only, 12, 15 miles from here. They just recently, a few weeks ago or a few months ago, got a $10 million economic development check. And I believe Seneca Falls was on the list for consideration. Newark got it. Well, I read an interesting story about Newark. Their historic commission, there is a school over there, a dilapidated, really bad shape school in Newark. I don't know the location. I almost thought about driving over and checking it out. But it was so downtrodden, in such a bad shape, Burn Dairy comes up and makes an offer to their board over there in Newark and to reference the commission, sat with the commission, explained to them they want to come in and set up a new Burn Dairy. Are you shocked? They agreed with it. They're tearing down the school building, which was in the Newark Historical District. So I'm not saying that's any reason for Seneca Falls to follow suit, but I only bring this up because it just happened. That building in Newark was historic, and they decided they would rather take a new business to come in there. And ironically, that's the Burn Dairy, and here we're talking about Circle K with this building called the Koch Building. And by the way, before I get back to Emil with some closing comments, I do respect Carol Ritter too. By the way, she wrote a great letter at the Finger Lakes Times. I haven't seen Carol forever, but I always liked her style, and she was a great writer, still is. And she had a vision. She always said that if she had the money, she could visualize some condos, some beautiful landscaping overlooking the water. And I totally understand where she was coming from. And I guess where I'm coming from is, yes, maybe Peter should have done more to keep that building afloat in better shape. I would agree with that. But I'm also going to say that, and Emil's heard this, and I know Jimmy Senecropi has heard it many times in our lives. If you've ever seen or heard a commercial on TV regarding a real estate agent, they say one word 3 times: location, location, location. Ladies and gentlemen, if you agree with me or disagree, there's one thing you have to say without a doubt. That building, Huntington Building, Koch Building, call it what you want, has the primo. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 15. It's on the corner of Veterans Bridge, Fall Street, and Rumsey Street. And Emil even said earlier, it's a phenomenal location. So my view is, maybe Peter should have done more to keep it afloat and keep it in better shape. But now he wants to have it torn down and get whatever check he can get from Circle K as they take over and build up. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I can see his point in one respect, because Peter realizes that it's a perfect opportunity for him to pick up some money because of the location. And Circle K is a lot of things, but stupid isn't one of them. They would love to take over that location. So those are my comments. And by the way, we're going to go back to Emil. We're going to have about 4 more minutes. Emil, please give us some more comments on how you feel, what's going to take, what your feeling is. You mentioned a lot of developers maybe in the hunt coming in and helping out and maybe taking that as a project. And that's something that's not going to happen in a couple of days. But if that were to happen, that would really make the position of the commission a little better, wouldn't it? Obviously, if somebody took it on as a developer.
Well,
yeah.
You said location a number of times,
Yep.
and the location is important. Let's not forget it's on the canal front.
Yep.
You compare it to the knitting mill, and they're although not exactly the same style.
Sure.
You could see the vista open down to the canal, and the same sort of thing you have with the Hall of Fame. There's no indication this building is unsafe or dangerous, and the town has actually taken steps to try to have it declared unsafe or dangerous, but there's no indication it is. We do know that there's a movement now with these big, you notice that Circle K and Speedway are taking over the local Nice and Easy. So there's a big movement now and Burn Dairy to build these huge, in this case it'd be 3 acres. It's pretty much a truck stop in the middle of our town. And your comments about the DRI are very helpful, and I think everybody should be questioning why Seneca Falls didn't get a DRI. And my understanding is that the people that proposed the DRI for Seneca Falls touted the demolition of this building as the centerpiece of their project. And I guess they didn't understand that DRI stands for Downtown Revitalization. And so their proposal was going nowhere. And I might also say that everybody should be concerned about economic development here, and I certainly am and was involved in it. One of the tools that we have here that many other communities don't have, and again, this goes into the financing of a project, is Seneca Falls is a certified local government by the State Historic Preservation Office. What does that mean? It means that because of the way things are set up with the Historic District and the Heritage Preservation Commission and so on, that if somebody wants to do a project, they will get assistance from the state. When our town applies for grants and they do the matrix, they get an extra boost because we're a CLG. So there's a lot of reasons why a development of this building could take place. So I think, all in all, we could have something like the Cracker Building. If you've never been there, I urge you to go and see it. It actually, I think it's open some weeknight, Thursday nights. They have events in there. It's a lovely place. You could have that sort of thing down here. But I couldn't agree with you more. Location, location, location. So what do you want on this location? A building that's reused, a 19th century building, or a 3-acre gas station? To me, that puts it right in perspective. Which do you want? Well, what are people going to say 50 years from now when they look back and say, well, there used to be a gorgeous brick building here, but in 2018, it was torn down. Now we have this gas station.
Well put, Emil, and thank you very much for coming in. Before we sign off today, we're running out of time, and just want to refer you to my upcoming schedule. We were expecting Mike Wood to come in yesterday. Mike, of course, one of Woody's, the famous carpet cleaning guy. He just got hired as the coach of the Watertown Rapids. He was due in to do my show next week. He could not make it. He got called out of town to go to St. Lawrence for a coaches meeting. I understand that. So he'll be coming on January 7th, believe it or not. We're even booking into next year already. He'll be with me on January 7th. Mike Wood, looking forward to talking to him about his new job. By the way, next week, got a friend of mine coming on who I've gotten to know a lot closer the last couple of days because I see him at a lot of my daughter's parties. Kevin Bostrom and his wife Jill. Kevin runs the farm's meat market over in Stanley. Does a phenomenal job. They originated their business in 1959. Kevin will be in there next week to talk about his business and how he got started and how it's going. And it's obviously going to be a busy time for him since we're in the holiday lead up to Christmas. So Kevin will be joining me next week on The Weber Show. And I understand he's probably coming up with some trick via Facebook or something to give away some free meat. So you don't want to miss next week's show. And then on the 10th, we're bringing in Mitch Rowe. I haven't seen Mitch for quite a while. He's the interim county manager for Seneca County Board of Supervisors. And then a guy that I'm sure Emil's heard before, another great entertainer in the local scene, Joe LaManna is expected to be in here, or John LaManna, John LaManna is expected to be on the Weber Show on the 17th of December. So Emil, thanks again, my friend. Appreciate you spending some time with us.
It was great.
All right.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
No problem. Now, see, we start off being friends before you come on here. We're friends even after the show. So take care, everybody. For Jim Senecropi and Emil Bove, this is the dog bidding you farewell.